Myanmar had been ruled by military junta from 1962 to 2011. In 2011, Myanmar's ruling system had changed from military rule to partial democracy. The country has a bicameral legislature, and so, in the lower house, it consists of 440 members of parliament, and in the upper house, 224 members are included. The constitutions of Myanmar allocated its military at 25% of seats in the parliament. This means that Myanmar military has veto power over constitutional amendments. Therefore, the general elections only represent 75% of seats in the parliament. 25% of seats are automatically for an elected members of parliament from the military. However, the ruling National League for Democracy (NLD) won 83%, a landslide victory in the general elections held on the 8th of November 2020. Therefore, there was the great disappointment to the military because the NLD is calling for a gradual reduction in the military's representation in parliament to 15% of seats after the 2020 election, with the goal of making further reductions later. Obviously, the military did not like it because the military will lose its central role in politics and governance in the country. So, this is the first underlying cause of Myanmar military coup. The second cause, maybe the coup leader, General Myanmar, might have been forced to retire on his 65th birthday in July 2021. According to the Defense Service Act, the Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief must retire at the age of 65. Therefore, if he lacks power, he would have been exposed to potential persecution and accountability for alleged war crimes during the Rohingya conflict in various international courts. The final cause might be that the military is also extremely wealthy because coup leader General Myanmar oversees two military conglomerates, the Myanmar Economic Corporation (MEC) and Myanmar Economic Holdings Limited (MEHL), while his daughter, son, and relatives have a lot of company in the country, such as tourism, banking, manufacturing sector, jade and ruby mining, etc. Therefore, he might want to maintain the stability of his properties. His possessions might be consequently lost if he lacks power and would have failed in the prosecutions. A few days before the coup, negotiation between the military and the NLD did happen, and they were not able to achieve a consensus. Therefore, the military has raised the issues of electoral fraud and the voting fraud as a strategy to attempt the coup. Finally, on the 1st February morning 2021, Myanmar's military declared a year-long state of emergency. And then the military has detained State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint, including several senior members of the ruling National League for Democracy. Around 7 a.m., soldiers are deployed outside city halls in Myanmar's former capital city, Yangon. Then, mobile internet data connections and some phone services were disrupted throughout the country. At 8:30 a.m., Myanmar's military-owned television, Myanmar, broadcasted that its commander-in-chief, Myanmar, has taken full power of the country, declaring a one-year state of emergency, claiming that it carried out detentions of senior government leaders in response to fraud during last year's general elections. As soon as people heard about the coup, approximately 10 a.m. on the first day of the coup, residents in Yangon were lining up in front of the banks to withdraw cash from their bank accounts. However, in the afternoon, banks agreed to suspend all financial services due to poor connections during the current political crisis. Regarding foreign pressures, Australia was the very first country to condemn on Myanmar's military action. At 8:30 a.m., Foreign Affairs Minister of Australia said they called on the military to respect the rule of law, to resolve disputes through lawful mechanisms, and to release immediately all civilian leaders and others who have been detained unlawfully. Subsequently, around 9:30 a.m., Japan urged Myanmar to uphold democracy, and Japan's top government spokesman said that it's important that the relevant parties resolve the situation peacefully through dialogue and in line with the democratic process. Following Japan, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, who has met Aung San Suu Kyi in person and shown support for Myanmar's democracy over the years, urged Washington to take action on the situation in the South Asian nation and said that the Biden administration must take a strong stand and our partners and all democracies around the world should follow suit in condemning this authoritarian assault on democracy. Moreover, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the detention of Aung San Suu Kyi and other political leaders around 10 a.m. on the day of the coup. However, while India, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Asian community were more forthright in their statements, the community leader of Rohingya refugees condemned the overthrow of a democratically elected government in Myanmar by the military on Monday around 12 p.m. The very first protest has been carried out in Bangkok, outside the country around 3 p.m. or local time. Protesters in Bangkok waved images of Aung San Suu Kyi at a demonstration in front of Myanmar's embassies. Thai Deputy Prime Minister made a comment that the military takeover in neighboring Myanmar is their internal affairs. Since the early morning of the coup day, the main road leading to the parliament building in Naypyidaw, the capital city, was buzzing with security personnel, with at least 5 armored personnel carriers in the vicinity. Other parts of the city were calm and ministries appeared normal with no added security. Approximately 4 p.m., as the news of the military's action has been spreading all over the whole country, people in Yangon rushed to the markets and shops for panic buying. In the first days of the coup, the people were relatively silent, with grievance inside their mind. The history repeated again. I'll see you in the next part, with various forms of civil resistance and military regime countermeasures. Thank you so much.